ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the Commanding Officer, NROTC Unit, College of the Holy Cross, welcome to the commissioning ceremony of the class of 2026. Please rise for the arrival of the official party. Commanding Officer, Naval Reserve Officer Training Corps, Holy Cross, arriving. General, United States Marine Corps, retired, arriving. Ladies and gentlemen, please remain standing for the march-on of the commissioning class of 2026, the playing of the national anthem, and the invocation given by Father Otto.
Loving God, as we gather to commission these midshipmen, we celebrate your presence among us. You created these men and women. You called them to Holy Cross. You inspired them to serve their country in the United States Navy and Marine Corps. Today, as they mark their commissioning and tomorrow their commencement. Let this new beginning be filled with your Spirit. Help them to be servant leaders who exercise their office with humility. Grant them courage in the face of danger. Endow them with wisdom in all their human relationships. Make them your peacemakers in the world. We praise you for their families who formed them, their instructors who taught them, and their peers who have challenged them. We thank you for this day and this ceremony. This is the day that the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad. We pray in your holy name, Jesus Christ, the Lord.
Thank you, Father Otto. Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats. Good morning. I am Midshipman O'Reilly, your Master of Ceremonies for today's events. I would like to welcome you to the 2026 Commissioning Ceremony for the Naval Reserve Officer Training Corps Unit at the College of the Holy Cross. Our consortium consists of students from the College of the Holy Cross, Worcester Polytechnic Institute, Worcester State University, and Brown University. Today marks a significant milestone in the lives of the young men and women who are about to be commissioned as Navy and Marine Corps officers. Thank you for being here to share a part in this special ceremony and for all your support the last 4 years. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to introduce Captain Brian Pickney. Captain Pickney has been the commanding officer of the Holy Cross NROTC unit since August of 2025. He came to Holy Cross from Carrier Strike Group 15, where he served as the operations officer. It is my pleasure to present the commanding officer, Naval Reserve Officer Training Corps, College of the Holy Cross, Captain Brian Pickney.
Distinguished guests, parents, families, friends, and midshipmen, good morning. It is an absolute pleasure to welcome you to our 85th commissioning ceremony at the College of the Holy Cross, and I cannot think of a finer setting to be part of such a solemn occasion. Let me begin by thanking the many people whose support makes this day possible. Presidents Rougeau, Paxton, Wang, and Maloney of the College of Holy Cross, Brown, Worcester Polytechnic, and Worcester State University. Thank you for your continued support of the NROTC program and the commissioning of these fine men and women. And to the bursars, the registrars, the medical staff, deans of students and faculty, provost office, your support is immeasurable, and we are deeply, deeply grateful. Only a few weeks ago, at the President's Review, we recognized many of these midshipmen for their accomplishments as outstanding students, responsible members of their institutions, and exceptional leaders of the Crusader Battalion. Today, we recognize these kids that you dropped off at Carlin Hall 4 years ago as the men and women who will help lead our Navy and Marine Corps into the future. Today, we award them with commissions, well-deserved, hard-earned, as ensigns and second lieutenants. The officers before you have taken on rigorous academics in political science, engineering, economics, mathematics, and many other disciplines. They have pushed through naval science courses in sea power, leadership and ethics, navigation, weapons, amphibious warfare. They have awoken at dark 30 for a 06 PT. They have marched in color guards, competed in drills, executed field exercises at Fort Devens, volunteered for Toys for Tots, and trained in the fleet during their summers. Over these last 4 years, they have developed not only as individuals, but as teammates, leaders, future officers, and yet, this is only the beginning. This date, May 21st, 2026, will be one you will never forget. Now, this is partly due to every 2 years on this date, for the rest of your naval service, you'll get a pay increase. So that's kind of a big deal. But more importantly, you'll remember it because today is the day that you take the next great step into a life of leadership, service, and sacrifice. From this day forward, people will look to you for leadership. in your communities, on your ships, in your squadrons and submarines, in aircraft, and in the field. They will look to you for steadiness, direction, encouragement, discipline, and example. Fleet Admiral Ernest J. King once said, "You cannot fool the American blue jacket, and I advise you not to try. You can, however, readily gain their loyalty and respect. You will then have something money can't buy." Just as you did not make it through college on your own, you will not succeed in our profession of arms without the support of the enlisted sailor and Marine. When given knowledgeable, ethical, moral, and courageous leadership, they will make failure the most remote of possibilities. And one final word on leadership from another philosopher, Spider-Man's Uncle Ben. With great power comes great responsibility. And with your gold bars, you are now leaders by an act of Congress. You wanted it, you earned it, you got it. Now use it for the good for those that are entrusted in your care. Now, before I introduce our guest speaker and commissioning officer, I would like to address the families and loved ones here today. In a few moments, these midshipmen will take an oath of office and become naval officers. Although they take the oath individually, every family here understands the seriousness of that obligation and, in their own way, takes a silent oath of support alongside them. Military service can be exciting, inspiring, adventurous. It can also be lonely, disappointing, and flat out difficult. I still remember talking to my mom on a flip phone as I drove into Lemoore, California. Not exactly the garden spot one imagines for a naval air station. And truly breaking into tears because the Navy had assigned me to what I thought was a glorified cow pasture. My family's love and support kept me going, and that cow pasture became the place where I forged lifelong friendships and learned some of my earliest lessons in real leadership. So celebrate their successes. There will be many. Support them through their failures. There'll be a couple of those too. But most importantly, continue to only be a phone call or plane ticket away. For that, these sons and daughters of America will be forever grateful. Now it is my distinct pleasure and honor to introduce our distinguished guest, General Joseph Dunford. His full biography appears in your program, but let me briefly highlight a few of his remarkable accomplishments. A Quincy native, an Irish Catholic, and a devoted Red Sox fan, who we may need some extra prayers for this season, just saying. He was commissioned as a Marine Corps officer in May 1977. Over the course of an extraordinary career, he commanded at the highest levels of our military, including service as Commandant of the Marine Corps and as the 19th Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, and leading Marines, soldiers, and sailors on the ground in both Afghanistan and Iraq. Of all his tours, however, serving at the College of the Holy Cross as the Marine Corps Officer Instructor in 1988 is surely the highlight of his career. On a more personal note, one of the hallmarks of General Dunford's leadership is his commitment to mentoring the next generation of military and civilian leaders. During his time as a senior fellow at the Harvard Kennedy School, he generously made time to sit down with military fellows and talk through whatever challenges were on their minds. I was one of those fellows. In one of those meetings, he mentioned that he'd like to discuss Iran at our next sit-down, and I, still far too arrogant as a Navy commander, asked if he would discuss it right then and there, because I had a paper on that subject due that very next day. General Dunford didn't hesitate. He said, absolutely. Cleared his schedule for the next 45 minutes, recharged his coffee, and said, let's go at it, Brian. And we spent the next 45 minutes talking about the many of the same issues that are being carried out presently. Got a pretty good grade on that paper, I might add. That moment was a highlight of my year as a Navy fellow, and it spoke volumes about the kind of leadership General Dunford possesses. Always ready to serve, always ready to mentor, and always ready to invest in the next generation. So with no further ado, sir, welcome back to the Hill. The floor is yours.
Hey, Captain Pinkney, thanks for your introduction, but more importantly, thanks for what you're doing to prepare the next generation of Navy and Marine Corps leaders. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. It's an honor to be with you as we commission our new ensigns and second lieutenants. And as the captain mentioned, I served here for 3 years as the Marine Officer Instructor, so it's particularly meaningful to be back here with the students that are graduating from Holy Cross, Worcester Polytechnic, and Worcester State, the commissionees this morning. For those that are about to be commissioned, I know you've had a busy week with various events to recognize your accomplishments. And this is an important milestone, and I'm sure you're feeling pretty good at this point, and you should be. You accepted the challenge at highly competitive schools. You carried the extra load associated with NROTC, the early mornings, the late nights, the summer training, and you accomplished a great deal. And I just want to begin by joining your family and friends in congratulating you. But you know, as the captain mentioned a minute ago, you recognize that you didn't get here by yourself. You had the support of your family and friends. And the leadership, faculty, staff at Holy Cross, WPI, Worcester State, and the NROTC unit worked really hard over the past 4 years to teach, to coach, and mentor you. And at the end of the day, they showed you what right looks like. And when I look out at the crowd, you can't see, I can. I look out at the crowd, I see a lot of faces that are beaming with pride. So what I want to do before we begin is I want those that are being commissioned to stand up, turn around, make eye contact if you can with your loved ones, and clap for them and let them know how much you appreciate the support that you've had on the journey that has brought you to this very important point. I'm mindful that I'm not the main event here today. This event is not about speeches. It's about the 12 individuals that are about to be commissioned in the Naval Service. But before our new leaders attack their challenges ahead, I'd like to share some personal thoughts about leading in today's strategic environment. We're all aware, even if you casually engage in the media, of the many challenges that face our country. Henry Kissinger was a World War II veteran. He served every president between Roosevelt and Biden, and he called the current era the most complex and volatile since World War II. It'd be tough to argue with Henry Kissinger. The current security environment is characterized by challenges that include great power competition, an alignment of autocrats in Russia, China, Iran, and North Korea, ongoing conflicts in Ukraine and Iran, and a lack of effective structures for conflict resolution, nuclear proliferation, and arms control. And we're experiencing significant disruption in the network of our traditional allies and partners. The geopolitical change is all happening as we grapple with disruptive technological change, including advances in artificial intelligence, quantum computing, and synthetic biology. Perhaps the most striking difference between the environment today and the one that Second Lieutenant Dunford experienced is the pace of change. And this has profound implications for your role as Navy and Marine Corps leaders. And I'm going to just share a little perspective on that. When I was a lieutenant, I recall participating in one of the very first exercises that I was involved in at the Marine Corps Mountain Warfare Training Center in California. And during that exercise, when we went to the warehouse to pull out our equipment for cold weather training, we pulled out the same equipment that my dad had used in Korea 27 years before that. And I don't mean the same type of equipment. We literally went into a warehouse and pulled out equipment that had been brought back from the Korean War. Our radios, our rifles, and our machine guns were from Vietnam. The Jeeps that we had would have been familiar to World War II veterans and showed the tactics. Again, this is some 27 years later. And I can say with absolute confidence that a Marine lieutenant from World War II could have fallen in on an exercise that I was participating in the late 1970s and been completely comfortable from the perspective of capabilities in battlefield geometry. In the early part of my career, we dealt with change that took place gradually over decades. And today, Marines are wearing equipment, employing weapons, driving vehicles, and flying aircraft that would be unrecognizable to Marines that were discharged just a few years ago. And similar changes can be seen in the Navy. The Navy's leaped forward above and below the sea with advancements in combat systems, autonomous platforms, cyber capabilities, stealth, and precision strike. In both services, new platforms and capabilities aren't just improving how we fight, they're transforming how we fight with profound implications at the strategic, the operational, and the tactical levels of war. Today, in an era in which capabilities are often defined more by software than hardware, change no longer occurs gradually over decades. It often happens in a matter of months. And this leads me to the first of two messages that I have for those that are being commissioned today. To be successful, you have to be extraordinarily flexible. And more than any of your predecessors, I would argue, you're going to be asked to embrace and to, in fact, lead change. And as you leave Worcester, bring your intellectual curiosity and your openness to new ideas with you. Think of your time here as the beginning of lifelong learning and professional development. Be confident in your abilities. Absolutely be confident. But don't be complacent in what you know. Don't be paralyzed by what's at stake, but recall from your study of history while you've been in school that change in the 19th century and 20th century often occurred after failure, and the implications were as significant casualties. And I would argue for you, our men and women in uniform, they deserve better than that, and they deserve that we would learn from those experiences and be on the front end of change. And remember, you're not always going to have all the answers yourself. Often someone in your organization will. So you need to create an environment in which innovativeness and creativity are encouraged. And that starts pretty simply by being a good listener, and leading with humility. I'd like to shift gears and talk about one aspect of our profession that hasn't changed since I was sitting where you were sitting, and hasn't changed, frankly, since 1775. Successful leaders have always been and continue to be those with true commitment to serve something greater than themselves. Men and women with a willingness to put the mission and the needs of their subordinates ahead of their own. I've had the privilege of serving with a number of men and women who embody selfless service. And before I ask you to take the oath, I want to leave you with the story of one of those leaders, Lieutenant Matt Lynch, United States Marine Corps. Matt was the product of a family with a deep tradition of service. His brother and dad had both been Marines, and both went on to distinguished careers in the FBI. Matt was smart, athletic, personable, and a man of faith. He had a great sense of humor. He was a two-sport varsity athlete at a Division I school. And like all of you, he finished college with truly unlimited potential. Matt was one of my Marines during Operation Iraqi Freedom, and he was one of the first Marines that came across the Iraqi border in 2003. In the fall of 2003, he returned back to Camp Pendleton, California, having successfully completed that first deployment. And he was back at California in the spring of 2004. Much of the 1st Marine Division, of which he was a part, was back in Iraq, and we started to see significant casualties amongst our lieutenants and our staff sergeants. And Matt was one of the first lieutenants to volunteer to leave his unit at Camp Pendleton and join another unit in Iraq that needed a leader. A few months later, after his second combat deployment in less than 18 months, Matt returned to the States for a well-deserved leave and a family reunion. Before he departed on leave, he went to visit the Marines from his first deployment, and they were now heading back to Iraq. But when he went down to visit them, he found out that they didn't have a lieutenant. And he went up to see the battalion commander and volunteered to take those Marines back to Iraq. Because they didn't have a lieutenant, he felt he could make a difference. He called home, and his family, needless to say, was very disappointed that he wasn't coming home for the reunion. And in truth, Matt was also very disappointed. But in the course of the call, his dad said, "Matt, you've already been over there twice. Can't somebody else do it? It's somebody else's turn." Matt responded, "Dad, these are my friends. These are my Marines and sailors. I've learned a lot. I know I can help them accomplish the mission and bring them home safely. I have to go back. They need me." And so Matt went back to Iraq for a third time. By every account, and I had an opportunity to see it in person, Matt was a source of great inspiration to his Marines. There's nothing his Marines wouldn't do for him. They loved him because he led by example. He was a man of character. He was a student of his profession. He was competent. And because he knew there was nothing that he wouldn't do for them. In November of 2004, Matt was killed in Ramadi leading his Marines, and he was helping to ensure that they would return home to their families. You know, I didn't choose to tell a story of Matt Lynch simply because of his combat leadership or his ultimate sacrifice, although I do think as we approach Memorial Day weekend, we should talk about the stories of Matt Lynch and others like him. Not all of us are going to find ourselves, though, under similar conditions, and few of us are going to be asked to make the ultimate sacrifice. But if you think carefully, you'll recognize that the qualities reflected in his actions aren't unique to a particular service, an occupational field, or the battlefield. I shared his particular story because it's a powerful reminder that when you're a leader, it's not about you. It's about your Marines and sailors. If you lead in the spirit of Matt Lynch, if you generally care for others and you take care of them, they'll take care of you, and you'll find success. And from my perspective, you will achieve what can only come from inspiring ordinary men and women to do extraordinary things in a way that truly matters. Now let me make my final point. If at any time over the last few weeks or as I've been speaking, you've been taking a deep gulp and you may feel a bit anxious and a bit intimidated by what lies ahead, and if you don't feel a bit intimidated or anxious about what lies ahead, you're not thinking hard enough. But I would just tell you, I'd be surprised, as I mentioned, that if you wouldn't think that way. I certainly had those feelings as I began my journey as a leader, and to be quite candid with you, I had those same feelings many, many times throughout my career. But in all sincerity, as I stand here before you and we prepare to take the oath, I don't share those concerns. My experience makes me very confident of the product we produce in the NROTC program, and from personal experience, particularly here at Holy Cross. I've watched your predecessors in action, and it makes me confident in you, even though we just met. I truly believe you're going to measure up to the task at hand, you're going to lead change, and you're going to inspire your Marines and sailors. And at the end of the day, you're going to make a difference, and you're going to be a leader of consequence. Thanks for stepping up. Many people will congratulate you today, but I think the most appropriate sentiment from me is thanks. Thanks for stepping up. Thanks in advance for taking care of your Marines and sailors. God bless each and every one of you. I'll be in proud overwatch as you go out there to the fleet. God bless you all, and Semper Fidelis.
Now, the class of 2026 will be presented with their commission and have their rank pinned by their loved ones. This portion of the ceremony is a military tradition that highlights the significance of earning one's promotion to the next higher rank. For those of you pinning someone today, please exit your seats to the right and join your future officer. Midshipman Collier Cochran is from Columbia, Maryland. He is scheduled to commission as an ensign in the United States Navy upon earning a Bachelor of Science in Aerospace Engineering from Worcester Polytechnic Institute. Following commissioning, Ensign Cochran will report to the Naval Nuclear Power School in Charleston, South Carolina. He will be pinned by his parents, Andrew and Teresa. Midshipman Michael DeBono is from Abington, Massachusetts. He is scheduled to commission as a second lieutenant in the United States Marine Corps upon earning a Bachelor of Arts in Criminal Justice and a minor in Political Science from Worcester State University. Following commissioning, Second Lieutenant DeBono will report to the Basic School in Quantico, Virginia. He will be pinned by his grandfather, Brian Kelly. Midshipman Garrett Fitzgerald is from Hopkinton, New Hampshire. He is scheduled to commission as an ensign in the United States Navy upon earning a Bachelor of Arts in Physics from the College of the Holy Cross. Following commissioning, Ensign Fitzgerald will report to flight school in Pensacola, Florida. He will be pinned by his parents, Jeffrey and Danielle. Midshipman Lev Jafune is from Cumberland, Maine. He is scheduled to commission as a second lieutenant in the United States Marine Corps upon earning a Bachelor of Science in Computer Science from Worcester Polytechnic Institute. Following commissioning, Second Lieutenant Jafune will report to the basic school in Quantico, Virginia. He will be pinned by his parents, John and Tracy. Midshipman Maxim Herr is from St. Louis, Missouri. He is scheduled to commission as a second lieutenant in the United States Marine Corps upon earning a Bachelor of Arts in Economics and a minor in Studio Art from the College of the Holy Cross. Following commissioning, Second Lieutenant Herr will report to the basic school in Quantico, Virginia. He will be pinned by his parents, Anne and Kevin. Midshipman Andrew Johnson is from Quincy, Massachusetts. He is scheduled to commission as an ensign in the United States Navy upon earning a Bachelor of Arts in Biology from the College of the Holy Cross. Following commissioning, Ensign Johnson will report to the Naval Nuclear Power School in Charleston, South Carolina. He will be pinned by his parents, Carl and Mary Beth. Midshipman James Mullen is from Warren, Connecticut. He is scheduled to commission as a second lieutenant in the United States Marine Corps upon earning a Bachelor of Arts in Neuroscience from the College of the Holy Cross. Following commissioning, Second Lieutenant Mullen will report to the basic school in Quantico, Virginia. He will be pinned by his parents, John and Karen. Midshipman Nicholas Murphy is from Darien, Connecticut. He is scheduled to commission as a second lieutenant in the United States Marine Corps upon earning a Bachelor of Arts in Economics and 2 minors in Religious Studies and Peace and Conflict Studies from the College of the Holy Cross. Following commissioning, Second Lieutenant Murphy will report to the basic school in Quantico, Virginia. He will be pinned by his parents, Jenny and Jim. Midshipman Julia Rind is from Stockbridge, Massachusetts. She is scheduled to commission as a second lieutenant in the United States Marine Corps upon earning a Bachelor of Arts in Political Science from the College of the Holy Cross. Following commissioning, Second Lieutenant Rind will report to the basic school in Quantico, Virginia. She will be pinned by her parents Chantal and Jay. Midshipman Michael Troiano is from Burlington Flats, New York. He is scheduled to commission as an ensign in the United States Navy upon earning a Bachelor of Science in Aerospace Engineering from Worcester Polytechnic Institute. Following commissioning, Ensign Troiano will report to the flight school in Pensacola, Florida. He will be pinned by Kenneth and Christine. Midshipman Thomas Vaughn is from Concord, Massachusetts. He is scheduled to commission as an ensign in the United States Navy upon earning a Bachelor of Arts in Political Science from the College of the Holy Cross. Following commissioning, Ensign Vaughn will report to DDG 108 USS Wayne E. Meyer in Pearl Harbor, Hawaii. He will be pinned by his parents, Tom and Judy. And finally, Midshipman Ethan Wilson is from Colts Neck, New Jersey. He is scheduled to commission as an ensign in the United States Navy upon earning a Bachelor of Arts in Political Science with a minor in Russian Studies from the College of the Holy Cross. Following commissioning, Ensign Wilson will report to flight school in Pensacola, Florida. He will be pinned by his parents, Chris and Patricia. Now, General Dunford will administer the oath of office.
Attention oath! Repeat after me. I, and state your name. I, solemnly swear. Do solemnly swear. That I will support and defend. That I will support and defend. The Constitution of the United States. The Constitution of the United States. Against all enemies, foreign and domestic. Against all enemies, foreign and domestic. I bear true faith and allegiance to the same. I bear true faith and allegiance to the same. I undertake this obligation freely.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise or remain standing for the benediction from Father Otto, and remain standing for the playing of Anchors Aweigh and the Marine Corps hymn.
Gracious God, we invoke your blessing on these newly commissioned officers. We rejoice in their accomplishments, and we beg you to accompany them in their first assignments on land, over the sea, and in the air. As they assume leadership in naval and marine service, guide them every step of the way. We bless their families who have sacrificed and supported them. We praise you for their instruction and formation from their officers. We thank you that Holy Cross continues to supply the Navy and Marine Corps with outstanding men and women whose leadership will be critical in the years to come. This is the day the Lord has made. We rejoice and are glad. Bless us and all who will gather tomorrow for the commencement exercises for the class of 2026. We ask this in your name, Jesus Christ, the Lord. Amen.
Congratulations, once again, to the class of 2026. This marks the end of our ceremony. Thank you for being here today. Will all of our newly commissioned officers please gather on stage for a class photograph? Friends and family, feel free to come forward to take pictures. For those who are rendering first salutes, please meet with the ensign or second lieutenant individually. Thank you for coming.